If you're thinking about buying a home in Cedar City right now, you've probably asked yourself a big question, and a question that I get a lot from people, and that is now actually a good time to buy, or should I wait? And honestly, you're not alone. This is probably the number one question I get from buyers right now. Like I said, people are wondering, should I wait for interest rates to drop? Should I wait for home prices to drop? What if I buy and the market crashes? There's a lot of uncertainty in the housing market right now, and if you're trying to make one of the biggest financial decisions of your life, that uncertainty can make it really hard to know what is the right move for you or for your family. So in this video, I want to break down exactly what's happening in the Cedar City housing market right now and answer some of the biggest questions buyers are asking. We're going to talk about what the housing market in Cedar City actually looks like right now, why buyers are feeling hesitant, whether waiting could actually cost you more money, and what strategies buyers are using to successfully buy homes in today's market. By the end of this video, you're going to have a much clearer understanding of whether buying a home in Cedar City right now makes sense for you. So let's jump right in. Section number 1, what the Cedar City housing market looks like right now. Because if you've been paying attention to real estate news over the last few years, you probably know the market has changed quite a bit. Just a few years ago, during 2021 and 2022, the housing market was extremely competitive and extremely expensive. Homes were selling in hours with multiple offers, and it was really hard to, one, find the home that you absolutely loved, but two, to even get the offer accepted. People were waiving inspections and offering way above asking price just to try and get their offer accepted. It was honestly one of the most competitive housing markets we have ever seen. But today's market looks very different. Right now, the Cedar City market is much more balanced. It is not a seller's or a buyer's market. It is kind of a good sweet spot in the middle. Homes are generally sitting on the market longer than they were during the peak of the frenzy. Buyers have more time to make decisions, and in many situations, buyers actually have the ability to negotiate with sellers again, which is something that they did not have before. That includes things like negotiating the purchase price, asking for repairs, negotiating closing costs, or even asking the seller to buy down the interest rate. And while prices are still relatively strong in Cedar City, we're also seeing more homes experience price reductions if they were originally listed too high. This means buyers today have something they didn't have a few years ago, which is options. Having options is actually a really healthy sign for a housing market. But even though the market is more balanced right now, buyers still have a lot of concerns. So let's talk about the biggest ones. Concern number 1, probably the biggest one, is mortgage rates. The first and biggest concern buyers have right now is mortgage rates. Just a few years ago, mortgage rates were extremely low, in the 3 and 4%. That made home payments significantly more affordable. But today, mortgage rates are higher than they were back then. Right now, they are at 6% for a conventional loan. And because of that, monthly payments are higher. So let me give you an example of how that compares in today's market. Let's say someone buys a home for $400,000. If that same home was purchased when interest rates were around the 3% mark, the monthly payment might have been somewhere between $1,700 or $1,800 per month, depending on the type of loan that you get. But with today's interest rates closer to 6 or 6.5%, that same home might have a monthly payment closer to $2,400 or even higher, depending on the situation. Now, that's a very big difference, a $600 to $700 difference. And it's completely understandable why buyers are concerned about that. So the question many buyers are asking right now is, should I wait for interest rates to drop before buying a home? At first glance, that seems like a really good, logical strategy. But here's something important that you need to understand. When interest rates drop, something else happens in the housing market. Buyer demand increases dramatically. When rates drop, more people suddenly qualify for loans and are looking to buy a house. And when more buyers enter the market, competition increases. And when competition increases, prices tend to rise. They go up. This is exactly what happened during the pandemic boom. So while waiting for rates to drop might lower your interest rate slightly, it could also mean you're competing with more buyers and paying a higher price for the home itself, which in the end does not benefit you. Another concern number 2 that buyers have is, are home prices going to drop? A lot of people are wondering if the housing market is going to crash. And this question totally makes sense, especially when people hear about housing market corrections on the news. But when we look at Cedar City specifically, there are a few things that we need to understand. First, Cedar City has been experiencing steady growth for years. A lot of new construction, a lot of people moving into Cedar City, population growth. People are moving here for several reasons. One of the biggest reasons is the lifestyle. Southern Utah offers incredible outdoor recreational opportunities. You have national parks, hiking, biking, skiing, beautiful scenery, all within driving distance. Another reason people are moving here is affordability compared to larger cities. Even though housing prices have increased, Cedar City is still significantly more affordable than places like California, Seattle, or even parts of northern Utah and St. George. And when people move into an area, housing demand increases. Another important factor is housing supply. Even though new builders are constructing new homes in Cedar City, the supply of housing still hasn't dramatically exceeded the demand. And because of that, prices tend to stay relatively stable. Now, does that mean prices will never fluctuate? Of course not. Real estate markets always experience small adjustments. Some homes might see price reductions if they were overpriced, and sometimes the market might slow down temporarily. But a dramatic housing crash typically requires a major oversupply of homes or a severe economic crisis. And right now, those conditions don't appear to be happening in Cedar City. Concern number 3, homes feel expensive. Another concern buyers express frequently is that homes in Cedar City feel expensive. And to be honest, they are not wrong. Starter homes often fall somewhere in the range of $300,000 to $400,000 depending on the location, size, and the condition of the home. But something important to remember about real estate is that prices change over time. 5 years ago, people thought homes were expensive. 10 years ago, people thought that homes were expensive. And yet when we look back historically, real estate has consistently appreciated over long periods of time. That appreciation is one of the reasons real estate is considered one of the most reliable long-term wealth building tools available. So while the price might feel high today, the real question isn't necessarily whether prices will go down. The real question is whether buying makes sense for your situation right now, and if you want to start building real wealth with real estate. Concern number 4, what if I buy at the wrong time? A lot of buyers worry about buying at the wrong time, which makes sense going back to the other 3 concerns that we have already talked about. They don't want to purchase a home and then see prices drop afterward or see interest rates drop. But one of the most important principles in real estate is this: it's not about timing the market, it's about time inside of the market. Historically, people who own real estate for longer periods of time almost always benefit from appreciation, or their home increases in value. You're building equity. Real estate rewards patience. It rewards long-term ownership, and it rewards stability. Trying to perfectly time the housing market is extremely difficult, even for experts. And even me, as a real estate expert, I cannot tell you when prices are going to drop or when interest rates are going to drop. And so again, it comes back to, do you want to start building wealth and equity, or do you want to wait? Now, with all of those concerns, valid concerns in mind, here is the good news. Buyers today actually have some advantages that buyers didn't have during the frenzy market, 2021 and 2022. One of those advantages is the ability to negotiate. Because homes are sitting on the market longer, buyers sometimes have the opportunity to negotiate things like the purchase price, seller concessions, closing costs, and repairs. Another strategy buyers are using right now is called a rate buy down. In some situations, sellers are willing to contribute money toward lowering the buyer's interest rate temporarily. This can significantly reduce the monthly payment during the first few years of your loan. Buyers also have something else right now that didn't exist during the crazy market years. That is time. Buyers can tour multiple homes, compare neighborhoods, think about their decisions carefully, and that ability to make thoughtful decisions can lead to much better long-term outcomes. Simply put, you can buy and have the house that you want without competing against 3, 4, 5 other buyers. So the big question is, should you buy a home in Cedar City right now, or should you wait? The answer really depends on your personal situation. And I know that we as people want a straightforward answer telling you exactly what you need to do. But the reality of buying a home is that it's not just an everyday type of decision. It is an investment, one of the biggest investments that you will ever make in your life. And so in order for you to make that decision, you need to make sure that it makes sense for you, and that even though you have concerns, that does not mean that it is a bad decision. If you're planning to stay in the home for several years, and if you can comfortably afford the payment, and if owning a home aligns with your long-term goals, buying can absolutely make sense. But if you're unsure about the timeline or your finances, it might make sense to wait and continue preparing. The key is making a decision based on your goals and your financial situation, not based on fears or headlines. And if you're thinking about buying a home in Cedar City or moving to southern Utah, and you have questions about the process, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help guide you through the options available in today's market. And if you want to learn more about living in Cedar City, the local housing market, and what it's really like to live here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I post videos every week talking about moving to southern Utah and the Cedar City real estate market. Again, thank you so much for watching our video today. I will see you in the next one. Have a good day.